So the prosecutor who dropped the Jussie Smollett case still thinks he's guilty.
Is Mr. Smollett innocent of the charges against him?
No, he is not. We stand behind their investigation. We stand behind our decision to charge him, and we stand behind our decision to bring the case to a grand jury.
It's nuts. And to be honest, Wolf, even Kamala Harris is completely confused.
To be perfectly honest with you, Wolf, I'm completely confused. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know the underlying evidence. I have, there's a sealed document, obviously. I don't know. I'm at a loss.
Join the club. So far, the number of people who actually think Smollett is innocent is less than the number who attacked him that night. But it doesn't matter, because a deal was made. As for claims that Smollett got special treatment, the prosecutor, Joe Maggots, lamely points out that, no, Smollett did community service and forfeited his bond. Okay, never mind then. And so a deal was made. And what a deal. 16 hours community service and $10K in exchange for dropping charges. I want his lawyer. But that's no exoneration. That's an admission of guilt. But it doesn't matter, because a deal was made. By the way, that 16 hours was spent at Jesse Jackson's coalition office, meaning it was probably a nap. Meanwhile, the same media that milked make-believe collusion for 2 years say that with Smollett, you know what? I guess we'll never know.
The narrative has once again changed from victim, to villain, back to victim. It's been very confusing, as Ryan was saying. People don't know what to believe, and we may never really know what happened on the street that night in Chicago.
We may never know. Let's be precise. Stelter will never know, and neither will CNN viewers. Because remember, they don't investigate. They just put it out there. The rest of us know what happened. A fake hate crime was blamed on Trump supporters, and then a deal was made. I got to say, whoever pulled the strings for Smollett has more juice than a Minute Maid factory. And if the two Nigerians talk, the words certainly won't be theirs. Sadly, if a hate crime hoaxer gets away with this, then there will be more. But one piece of advice, if you're thinking about doing it, get famous first. Then a deal will be made. All right, Jussie, the conclusion basically is that he staged the attack, but the prosecutors just felt it was too low priority and nonviolent, so why bother? Is that what it was?
Yeah, and he's loaded and famous and well connected.
So
to
it's good for us,
right?
Because if you have,
if we ever do anything, we might be able to get a jail-free card.
I'm not even that famous.
Which I may need one of these days. So the state's attorney, Fox XX, huge Democrat, big political animal. She takes her orders from Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle. Okay, she doesn't do anything unless Preckwinkle says so. Preckwinkle runs the town, all right? She's running for mayor to replace Rahm. This is how Chicago works, okay?
What's his name?
Tony is a female.
No,
her name is Preckwinkle.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, and Fox XX there has worked for Preckwinkle for 10 years. This is how the whole system in Chicago works. Most corrupt city in the country. Remember, they tried to sell Obama's Senate seat when he ran for president. Fox has also been accused of trading political donations to get felons out of prison. She's been accused 3 times of doing that. Also, she's been exchanging emails and text messages with Michelle Obama's people. Michelle Obama's people have been discussing things with Smollett's family members. And the guy's rich and famous, so there you have it. And in this country, Greg, thankfully, sometimes for us, rich and famous people will get off if they're well connected.
Fortunately.
In the worst cases, you have O.J. Simpson. You have Jeffrey Epstein. And then in the small ball situations...
Don't forget Donald Trump.
Okay, Juan, we'll get to you in a minute. And then you have, like, the Justin Bieber or the, Paris Hilton, the DUI situation, they can get off. That's small ball stuff. But the worst part about this is they spit in the eye of the Chicago police, and they did it in plain sight because they wasted, 1,000 hours on this, reviewing video surveillance. 24 detectives were reassigned. And now they're just going to say goodbye. It's sad and it's disgusting, and now these things are going to happen more because there's no punishment.
Jed, do you think this is a story about class? It started out about race and sexuality, but it is about class, and there is a separate class. It's like If you're a celebrity, you just get some serious perks.
People were hashtagging green privilege at the time. And it's true. It's all about money. It's all about power. It's the connection with the Obamas. And this guy's out there. I mean, he's audacious, too. He's out there and he's saying, oh, I'm innocent. How are you saying you're innocent when the prosecutor is out there saying you're not innocent? In fact, the prosecutor said the fact that Smollett feels we have exonerated him, we have not. I can't make it any clearer. So the fact that and then you have Fox Entertainment, and then you have the Empire writers out there tweeting things like, wink, see you Wednesday. I mean,
I'm sure Fox Entertainment was not involved at all.
It's a slap in the face, though, to people. Really, I mean, you know, you'd say, oh, it's not a nonviolent crime. This guy faked a hate crime. This is $150,000. This is the whole police force. He should have had to apologize at minimum. He should have had to pay that money back for all of that damage that was done, all of those funds taken away from resources that Chicago needed. And the fact of the matter is the guy's not innocent. He's just well connected. The average person that went through this, they would be going to jail. They would be going to a grand jury, they'd be getting indicted, and they'd be going to jail.
Juan, can I play you? I'm going to play you Rahm talking about this, and I want to talk about this, the pitting these Obama chief of staffs against each other. Let's go to that.
State's Attorney's Office saying he's not exonerated. He actually did commit this hoax. He's saying he's innocent, and his words are true. They better get their story straight, because this is actually making fools of all of us. This looks like, because he's an actor, a person of influence, he got treated differently than anybody else. So
Juan, you have two kind of Obama chiefs of staff. You got Rahm and you have Tina Chen, who's Michelle's. Is this more like kind of an interscene battle now that America is watching, but it's really about Chicago? Like, are we?
Well, I think Chicago's part of the story, but I mean, to me, I'm alarmed at the response from you guys, because.
Why?
You know why? I think we live in a country of laws, not mobs. And that mob can't be right-wing talk radio and say, oh, this guy
like
was
Rahm Emanuel,
Trump or something like that. You can't have that. You have a presumption of innocence, a process. I've heard lots about due process, right?
True.
So it seems to me that the state's attorney has said very clearly that without forfeiture of the bond, without the community service, he wouldn't have cut the deal. So he made a deal. And from what I understand, the deals are made all the time. But I would say in this specific case, everybody's then leaping to say, well, since he says he's not exonerated, which, by the way, I just heard that in some national case recently. But this case, everybody says, oh, so I really think that this was a setup and it's about influence. But guess what? The prosecutor, Joe Maggots, who you just saw on screen, said, no, I just made a decision here. And my decision is that he gave up the bond money. He's going to do community, and this is fine. And I'll tell you something else that's telling about it. I noticed these two brothers, the Osundario brothers, their attorney quit.
Yeah, that's true.
Why? Because they're not willing to say anything.
Why is that?
Right. So what is that?
Because they
were willing to testify,
touched.
but in fact, now that there's not going to be a trial, they don't want to do this.
I'll tell you.
Can I ask you a question?
I want to get
O.J. Simpson, innocent or guilty?
I thought he was guilty.
Guilty. Okay. So you can think someone's guilty because you have a good BS meter, but in the courtroom, you know, they can get off.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
to you, everybody knows Smollett staged the hoax, even though he technically
you don't know.
is not guilty.
You don't
Let me bring
know
Dana in.
You're sitting here with me.
So do you know anything about OJ too? It's the same thing.
You asked me
Use your common sense.
Hey, Jussie, you are all about gut. Use your head once. And
that's
understand,
what I'm saying.
Your gut
That's exactly what I just said. My gut says Smollett is a hoaxer.
Okay,
right, Dana.
And your gut should not send a man to jail in the
Dana's
United
got
States.
guts and a brain.
All right.
Wrap it up for us with your
right,
brilliant assessment.
Okay.
You were talking, you actually had the text. That's a little too complicated right now.
No, that's okay. So, one, he's so rich that $10,000, he can just let that go and walk away. He's like, okay, that's all it's going to cost me is $10,000. But it's the fact that they kept the money means that it wasn't innocent, right? Maggots says that's punishment enough. But you have Jussie Smollett out there saying, I'm innocent, and he's going to sue the city?
Yeah.
He's going to sue the city. Plus, Maggots, explain to us why you then sealed the thing. You basically wiped it off the computer. If you do a Google search over at the state's attorney's office, you cannot find anything about this case. Yet a grand jury, which is, you know, that's not just one person saying you're guilty. That's a jury. That's how our system works. Here's the thing. He still could be in trouble with the federal government.
Right.
Why? And I've always wondered, because before the fake attack, he sent a letter to himself, or supposedly, whatever, for giving due process, letter to himself that had powder in it.
Yeah.
That is a federal offense. That's a felony. And the FBI is not talking, which I think is not a good sign for Smollett. And we should hope that the FBI makes Chicago's mistake better.
Yeah, and I don't know how he can sue the city because everybody took him seriously.
Yes.
No one
Right.
doubted him publicly. The police worked their butts off on this. No one touched this thing until they had all this evidence. So who's he going to sue? All right.